It's a pleasure to be here back in Borivali after many years as a speaker. When Durgesh Bhai requested me, I said, now you have to give chance to the youngster, and we are all old people now, graying hair, 40 years in the practice, for the topic which but he said, no, Borivali people want you. Jaise, that saying is there, that koi gana ga raha hai stage pe, और once more बोल रहे हैं उसको. तो उसको लगा उसकी तारीफ हो रही है, फिर बोला जब तक आप ठीक से नहीं गाओगे तब तक आपको. So I think it is something similar to me that I have to.
No, nothing like that.
I'm just joking. Very happy. Thanks Ravi, thanks Pratik, Sikandar, and my fellow speaker Uday, who I have known from the time he was in KG. He's a very dear friend of my younger brother Ketan, and we all have, we're just staying across the road, and for last at least he's 58, so 58 years I have known him. So happy to be sharing the dais with him. Number of friends in the audience. Very happy what Borivali Study Circle is doing. Instead of giving a memento, as it is, there's a challenge. Bombay में जगह नहीं अपने घरों में. Memento रखना कहाँ पे? And giving this donation to CA. तो इसलिए याद आ गया. I don't know whether the vice president have been here. When I was the president 17-18, I was on a collection drive for the CABA. We collected a lot of funds. But lately I came to know when this current team came and we had an interaction session at Dadar, the Nandaji, the president, and Prasannaji, the vice president, that the corpus has gone down substantially thanks to COVID. COVID में बहुत सारे claim है. A lot of our members had a young death. And my earnest appeal to all of you to donate handsomely as per your own ability. सब अलग-अलग काम में अपन donation देते हैं, मंदिरों में देते हैं, social organization देते हैं, but this will benefit your fellow brothers and sisters who generally either are incapacitated or die at a young age. COVID was one of the examples, and this supports the family. And currently, I think there's a dire need of increasing that corpus to at least support the members, young deaths, this, that, etc. So my earnest request to all of you to contribute, based on your own volition. I don't want to force you. We as a firm have done something in the month of March. I don't want to give the amount to you. You do as per your own choice. Some other past presidents have committed huge amount, and currently this current team is going firm to firm, larger firms first, to seek donations. So before they reach you, I would request you to do on your own. It is for our own benefit of our brothers and sisters. Coming to the topic of the day, how to grow your practice and why aggregation is the need of the hour. Now friends, I have been speaking on this from 96, including in Borivali. I was speaking 8-10 years back, maybe 10 years back, I don't remember. How many of you have heard me on this particular topic earlier? नहीं है तो अच्छा, तो बोर नहीं हो गया आप लोग. And some part of it, the initial slides, I have picked up from my presentation in the World Congress of Accountants, which happened in Geo Convention Center. 8,000 people were there. So, on with the topic, and this is based out of the experience of our own firm, myself, number of friends, A.R. Krishnan, name it, Umesh Gala, I can go on and on. And a lot of inputs I've taken from, Vaibhav Manek, Nandita Parekh. I can just name few people who are active in the GCA, Amit Patel. They do a power summit. So I started speaking in 96, and as the journey improved, a lot of experience gained, a lot of knowledge gained from myself and from the others. And so this predominantly experiential based. As a firm, we have implemented majority of what we are mentioning in this. It's not theoretical. And people who know us would have seen our journey. And my only request to you is that ये हो जाएगा ऐसे नहीं यार, अच्छा बहुत अच्छा बोला सुना, बाहर गए हॉल के बाहर में गए back to square one. So whatever you like, I have requested the conveners to share the presentation later on with you. Whatever you feel is appropriate, please start walking that path. बाकी कोई फायदा नहीं है, आके बैठ के 2-3 घंटा सीधी करके जाओगे, then my time will be wasted if not your time. So my earnest request to you is whatever you feel right, pick up something, if not 100%, 5%, 10%, 20%, start walking the path. अब बोलते हैं पहला कदम important है. The manzil is very far, but the steps are important. And whatever, of course, you have to say, we have not achieved it overnight as a firm, as an individual. As I told you, for the last 20, 30, 40 years of change and a continuous change. Life is change and we have walked that path. So that's an earnest request to you. खाली सुनने के लिए मत आओ. Practically implement whatever you write. आपको लगता है ये बकवास है वो चीज छोड़ दो. जो चीज अच्छी लगी वो पकड़ के उसको कर लो. There is something which we may not correlate, right? Second thing is, let's have an interactive session. I requested Uday. Total we have got 4 hours, I think, in which maybe 15-20 minute break. How much break? 15-minute break. So he's been very gracious enough. मेरा presentation कम है, ज़्यादा time ले लो. हम रास्ते में बात कर रहे थे. So let's So first, I'll tell you the reason why we need to change. When you said why should we grow our practice? I think all of us are ambitious. We are at X amount. We want to 2x, 3x in time to come. All of us are ambitious. Nobody wants to remain in the same level, right? And in that context, I think all of us are aware that India is going to be the land of opportunity for the next decade, 2 decades. Irrespective, this war will come, some blips will keep on coming. This blips will keep on coming in between. War aayega, US ke tariff aayenge. But the trend is very clear, and I think I'll show you that what the trend is. What is the current position of ours in the CA practice? Some statistics around our, numbers of people in practice, etc. What are the challenges we face in practice? Practice management strategies, how to overcome the challenges. And I think the biggest challenge we have is the clientele and the fees. How to grow the clientele and how to charge proper fees, right? Uske par thoda baat karenge. Then what are the ingredients to successful practice? Growth strategies, specialization, new areas, practice and technology, aggregation of firms, and final thoughts. Of course, a huge presentation, but at the same time, don't bother. You sort of make it interactive. If you want to ask questions. So India, land of opportunities. This was I presented. I was supposed to moderate a session in the World Congress, and I was told 5 minutes start and 5 minutes end to sum up. I said, okay, end छोड़ दो because 10 minutes खाली बोलने दो. We had Mr. Injati Srinivas, who was the Gift City CEO at that time, and one person from Invest India on the panel. Forget his name, Mr. Bagla or something. And the moment my presentation got over, they said they wanted copies, and a lot of this content was from their sites only. So this is 22. Friends, some of the data may be 3 years old, but data would have only improved. Friends, we as a country, our economy touched 1 trillion in 58 years, from 1947 till 2008. Second trillion we achieved in 7 years, third trillion in another 7 years, 1 trillion additional in another 3 years, 7 years to 3 years, because now the trending, 7 साल का 3 साल हो गया, again it is 3 years, 5 trillion will be by 28, and then it is going to be 2 years, and 2 years to, so this is the rate at which the economy is going to grow. And what is the reason why it is growing? The financial services, banking excess, which was 35% in 2014, thanks to the JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile. So all that JAM Trinity, or just banking has increased. Now it is covering 78% of the population. Target is to reach 90%. Health expectancy, 60 years was the health expectancy, age expectancy 14, has gone up to 17, go to 80 in 34. Logistics cost has been the major problem in our country. Logistics cost is very high, the infrastructure cost. It is 13% in 14, has gone up to 16% rather than going down. But government with this scheme of Gati Shakti, etc., is trying to reduce it to 8%. The agricultural productivity was 4 tons per hectare in 2014, increased to 5.3 tons in 22, and it's going to touch 7.4 tons per hectare in 2034. Digital connectivity, I don't know to tell you how our connectivity has improved. 15% in 2014, it is 47% in 22, and 80% is expected in 31. You go to the smallest villages of our country, I think digital access is superb. You go to Gujarat, Maharashtra, wherever, go to Assam, Northeast, I think it is amazing, rollout of the digital connectivity. The retail market share of organized sector, which was 8%, all the malls and the large retail players, it has gone up to 10% in 22, but more significantly, go to 50% in 31. Now this is, again, why I'm saying this is going to impact a lot of your retailers. I think we see a lot of retail showrooms getting impacted, whether it's a Kirana store, thanks to all these services which are coming up. Some of these sectors are benefiting, the restaurants and all, thanks to Swiggy, Zomato, but some of them are getting impacted by the easier. I'm amazed, you order something in the night, you get something in the morning. For example, say you order a razor, Gillette razor. During COVID time, I ordered something because jana nahi ho raha tha. Next day, with less than 10 hours, I got that thing. अभी तो उससे भी कम हो गया है. There are nearby stores and all. So this is the rate at which. So the retail sector may be impacted. The organized retail will go up. See, all of us started on the keep on creeping, and rightly so, no doubt that the compliance are huge, and it's a factual thing. That is because we are day in and day out in this compliance, GST, TDS, tax, this, that. But you look at from an outside perspective, what was it earlier? So we were ranked 142 on the ease of doing business ranking. We came down to 63 in 2020. And currently they have stopped this ranking because of some challenge of Chinese people. So I believe if at all it would have improved. Friends, again, I think a lot of us are in the GST practice. You're really scratching your head, kahan phas gaye ho GST mein, compliances mein. But you see from again an outside perspective, nowhere in the world has any government, especially the size of our country, from a state-wise, indirect tax collection, sales tax, VAT, to central level collection. It's a massive change. You go to US, although the US is the most developed economy, but it's crazy. Each state has got different tax laws. It's horrible. We say our thing is complicated. So US जाके practice करके दिखा across. The state-wise everything is different. The income tax is different. The state sales tax is different. They're still in the sales tax era. And technology. You talk of technology. US, hub, Silicon Valley, etc. But I think the biggest challenge was the COVID certificate. If you know, ours was completely online. And Jay Shankar went to US. His son is staying in US, somewhere in California. They were in a restaurant. They asked the COVID certificate in COVID time. His son had to struggle to find a physical copy. And he showed it on the mobile. So that is how we are advanced. So I believe, अपन रोज वो काम कर रहे हैं, अपन critic है, but from a world perspective on technology, on a lot of other things, GST, etc., we have come a long way. So what is helping us, the foundation for good infrastructure, direct benefit transfer, subsidies directly going to the people. Infrastructure, all of us are seeing how the infrastructure is growing. The corporate tax, going down to 15% in certain sectors and 25%, I think is really good. Individual tax is still high. I think time I always had come करेंगे, but other than those 12 lakh limit, I'm saying 39-40% tax rate जो है. Labor reforms, I think still more can be done, but the government, a lot of things are political, whether it's agri reforms or, so there are certain sectors that still have to do more, but I think gradually they'll come to that. PLI scheme has speak more, it has been a tremendous boon. Insolvency back is subject to this Supreme Court order on Bhushan Steel. I don't know what's going to do with the impact. But otherwise, prior to the IBC, वो बोलते थे इंडिया में आप कंपनी को जन्म दे सकते हैं, कभी कंपनी मरती नहीं है. And you could never liquidate a problematic asset. With the IBC, at least we could see use, like so Bhushan Steel, SR, this, that, etc. could change hands. Yeah, maybe banks had to take a sacrifice, but the employment continued, the production, the facilities were of use. GST, as I told you, one nation, one tax. More than 17 indirect taxes coming, I think it's been a record. It's unbelievable that it can happen something like that. RERA, again, we knew how the real estate sector have been completely unbridled before RERA. And with RERA, at least there's a check and balance. There's more regulation which is coming up. We talked about the PLI, Production Linked Incentive Scheme. 2 lakh incentives committed by the government across 14 sectors. It is expected to garner a capex of 4.40 lakh crore. An incremental revenue spread over 5-year period is 40 lakh crore is the expectation. Employment is expected to generate 60 lakhs. These are different sectors where it is, going to be there. And the investment which has been realized has been out of this 4.40 lakh crore, 1.46 lakh crore production value already reached is 12.50 lakh crore. Employment generated is 9.5 lakh crore lakhs only, and export is 4 lakh crore. Now, friends, again, these are numbers. Apple, whole production of Apple is in India now. What was earlier in China, thanks to the PLI. The whole credit goes to the PLI scheme. So, a lot of other products like that. Digital India has, spoke about the JAM Trinity, the Aadhaar card, the CAC, Umang, BMAP, e-Visa, DigiLocker, digital Panchayat. So many things. So broadband, I think super broadband across the country, public internet access, e-governance, mobile connectivity, e-Kranti, electronic manufacturing, IT, early harvest. Name it, I think, on the digital front we are doing a stupendous job. Coming to manufacturing, currently share of manufacturing in GDP 16 to 17% in 24. It's expected to go to 21% in 31. We are already the second largest manufacturer of mobile handset, and we have grown 14 times in last 8 years, thanks to the PLI and other schemes. And expected manufacturing revenue is 3 times the current. So normally, see, this is coming from the Morgan Stanley report. They always get a base case, bull case, and a bear case. So 22 ka apna manufacturing revenue is 36 lakh crore roughly. It is expected to go up in 2030 to 160 lakh crore. That is the bull case, 120 lakh crore, and the bear case is 73 lakh crore. And what are the sectors? Defense, as you know, huge focus on, I would say, Atmanirbhar as far as defense is concerned. Automobiles, we are the third largest in the volume-wise, and still growing. Gems and jewelry, electronics, engineering, metals. And not only the traditional sectors, even the upcoming sectors, artificial intelligence, space economy, semiconductor, green energy, genomics, geospatial. So one good thing about this government is wherever, the moment they understand there's a weakness, so for example, semiconductor, we found there was a weakness, dependency on China. They started working. It may take some time, few years, but the moment we identify a weakness, we start working on that. And on the infrastructure, railways, so many changes happening. The Vande Bharat, the Shatabdis, the other trains, the rail infrastructure is, the stations, the upkeep, all improving. Airports, so many new airports coming. We are expected to cross 350 airports in 2025, small places. The UDAN scheme, which is communicating the smaller, connecting the smaller centers, that is also giving a good, impact. Roads, I don't know to say, you're seeing NHA what it's doing. Forget the Bombay roads. But Bombay also understand what is happening. The whole circular road, all the coastal road, Atal Setu, the tunnel from Borivali to Thana, maybe take 5 years. But once that is connected, understand what impact. It will be complete circle which you can, so if you want to go long distances, you can take those roads and then enter a suburb. Thanks to the coastal road, now the traffic in the, the Nepean Sea Road or whatever, all those roads are eased out. And same thing is going to happen here also. The clogging of SV Road or the highways here. Once this coastal road comes, it's currently up to Bandra to Versova to Dahisar is the target over a period of time. I think it will be unbelievable. Ports, all of us know how much work is happening on the ports also. And even the traditional sectors, construction, food processing, textile. Textile, luckily with this UK treaty will be beneficial, and I believe in US, once the treaty happens, we'll have a huge leg up in textile, which was our traditional sector, went down. So textile also, and tourism. Just a glimpse of tourism, what happens? You have a Ram Mandir, see the millions of tourists going there. You have a Mahakal, see the millions and millions of tourists going. You improve Rishikesh, Haridwar, see the millions and millions of tourists. So the potential is just humongous. Media, entertainment, you are at the hub. Banking, financial services, real estate. I can go on and on. So traditional sectors, new sectors, all will do well. This again, friend, I would request you to see how we are improving. I am not going to spend time on these two slides. And if you feel that I am speaking through my hat, and we are chartered accountants. This is one number. Amul, in its FY22 report, that time I think the turnover was roughly 60,000 crores, if my memory serves me right. They have mentioned in the annual report that we estimate that the Amul Group should be able to achieve a turnover of 17.6 lakh crore, up from currently it's 80,000 crore, 23-24, but it was 60,000 crore then, by 47. That is the aspiration of a cooperative. Now we are private chartered accountants, we've got private clients. So what should be our aspiration? A cooperative can have an aspiration to grow from 80,000 crore to 18 lakh crore. So our aspiration also should be like that, either individually in the practice or for our clients. With this we come to what is the current position of our practice. Are all of you in practice, right? Hardly anybody from industry. Anybody from industry? Nilesh is a couple of them. If you are intending to get into practice, this will be, good for you.
We came to hear you.
Thank you. That's a privilege. That's what friendship is about. So, what is the current position? Our risks have gone up substantially. Do we agree? Now, I want it to be interactive. वो पहले ठीक था जो macro numbers थे. If you feel something more, I'll note down somewhere. I'll add. It's not rocket science what I'm going to speak. It is just experience gathering of my own experience and my friends' experience. आपको लग रहा है कोई ठीक नहीं है तो भी बताना, लग रहा है कोई और ऐड करना है तो just let me know, so we'll make the things better. Risk has gone up for listed company audits. NFRA is there, income tax, GST, the penalties have gone up substantially, the district committee and the likes. Several scams have surfaced where CAs are found involved, और presumably CA नहीं भी है तो सबसे पहले CA क्या कर रहा था? नहीं तो कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो कोई कंपनी में, प्रोमोटर क्या कर रहा था कोई नहीं पूछेगा, और कोई क्या कर रहा था, CA क्या कर रहा था? That's the first question, which unfortunately, the profession we are in, there's the expectation. Huge expectation of regulators, stakeholders in society. NFRA we discussed is very active and released several reports on audit quality, stiff penalties against us, e-governance in almost all the government administration, increasing impact of technology and AI. ये अभी तक ज़्यादा अपने को हिट नहीं किया है. Technology has only benefited, but AI is going to hit us, and I think we need to be given. There are some slides on that. Constant amendments in GST, Companies Act, Ind AS, bankruptcy valuation has to. We need to be, income tax. You have to always be grounded with the changes. Constant changes. उसके अलावा भी rotation of auditors, UDIN, valuation rules, कुछ ना कुछ change होते रहता है. आपने कभी there's no stable period. Every day something new is coming up. One other key thing, though I think most of us here are in the mid-sized and small practice and don't want you to give an advanced sort of a warning, is there's a huge focus world over that audit and consulting can't go together. So currently the focus is on the big four. Okay, the audit and consulting is to separate. हुआ नहीं है. EMI decided to de-merge internationally, didn't happen. All the other three said it is impossible. But this focus is going to remain, and you please analyze yourself. अपना क्या predominantly अपन audit भी करते हैं, tax भी करते हैं, advisory भी करते हैं अपने level पे private clients में, and some one-stop shop, and rightly so. I'm not. But this regulation initially will hit the listed space, but could hit the जो listed में आता है थोड़े साल के बाद में unlisted पे आता है. So just to give an example, whatever listed companies we do, we as a firm have decided और कुछ काम करना ही नहीं. We don't do other than say certification statutory auditor has to give, we do that. Any assurance function. But say tax, just say indirect tax or any other advisory we don't do. Audit होने के बाद में जो करना है करना, during the time of audit, no other work. So be careful, this may come to us also at our level after some time. Need to gear up. And always the challenge of whether I should be in a general practice, do everything, audit, tax, indirect tax, or I should specialize. Do we face that challenge every day? We will think of it. We'll discuss that. And how many of you have seen the audit quality maturity model? AQMM, how many of you have seen that? Naulaka ji is saying that. Who else? My earnest, all of you do audits. How many of you don't do audits? You don't do audits. Baki sab audit, the majority does audit. And my earnest request again will be, please look at AQMM. And again, I'm sharing our own firm's example. Though we are a large mid-sized firm, we found a lot of gaps when we started benchmarking against the AQMM. And predominant gaps not in the audit side, but on the HR side, on some other matters. And we took it very seriously. Let's start working on those areas. So, आप भी आपको benchmark कर लो audit quality maturity model पे, and then start. And NOCLAR, we have to start reporting on non-compliance on laws and regulations in audit. That also may come to you sometime. I will not go through, we already discussed this. Now friends, this is what I want you to sort of focus on. You see the number of full-time practice member. In 2003, 68% were in full-time practice. And that number has gone down to 38% in April 25. In how many years? In 22 years. Very clearly, almost 90% or more of the fresh CAs are going into industry or jobs. They are not getting into practice. This is a very clear indicator thereof. Aaj bhi audience mein dekho, youngsters are few. Most of us are, I would say, middle aged. And here what I have done is, friends, I have added, there are many CAs who work with firms who don't have a COP. Even if we add that, the percentage is going to 38% only. It is not improving. जो CA firm में काम कर रहे हैं, COP नहीं है. I'm adding that also, even then it is 1,62,000. And ये और बढ़ेगा. I can just give a recent example. we do an audit of a mid-sized company, 250-500 crore ka turnover hai. We have joint auditors with one of the, the person who has helped them right from beginning. Now they're planning to go public. This gentleman has left the practice and joined them as a CFO. So the practice may be here, they will be going into industry. Because industry में opportunity बहुत आएगी. There will be huge opportunity in industry. So there will be, from the existing practicing people also, there will be shift happening there. So this is some statistics in Bombay. We have got 28% full-time COP members. Thane is 27, Mira Road, Bhayandar is 25, Vasai 31, Kalyan Dombili 51, Naim 30. I was trying to get specific figures of Borivali right from Andheri till Vasai. I couldn't get it from the institute. That's why I'm not. So this is just the macro numbers which is there. These are the practicing statistics, again, a very clear indicator that most of us are sole proprietor firms or small partnership firms. This again is an indication that there is a need to push into collaborate and make bigger firms. This is another statistics. These are number of partnership firms and proprietorship concerns. You see the figure from 2006 to 2011. There was virtual stagnancy of the firms that time, around 46,000, 47,000 range. Then again, when the economy went down from 2008 onwards, the impact came 2-3 years later, then people in practice went up. But I believe, ये जो अपन ने 2006 और 11 में देखा, same thing will happen now as industry is improving. There will be staticity, especially in cities and all, and large places, the number of practicing members will go down. You will still continue tier 2, tier 3, where they may not have enough opportunities for industry, but in large cities, I believe there will be again more shift towards the industry. When I say industry, it could be capital market, it could be anything else. It need not be only, So these are some statistics. How many GST, registered taxpayers were there? 1.51 crore. 160 crore total returns are filed of GST. 90.38 crore, 38 lakh crore payment through the portal, and 40.09 crore total number of payment transactions. That is fine. I think more about the next table. As of March 24, there are 73 crore PAN numbers. Count of returns filed is 7 crore 63 lakhs. Taxpayers, I don't know what is that count, 10 crore taxpayers. Difference between the PAN numbers and the counts of return filed is 64 crores. Now I believe a lot of people PAN to sabke paas hoga, may not be taxable income. I'm saying just take 10% of that, कि जहाँ पे taxable income है और return filing है, 10%. Is that a fair? How much is the number? 6.5 lakh crore. अब सब बोलते काम नहीं है. So I think possibly we need to educate people. We need to convince people कि अगर returns file नहीं कर रहे, वो नहीं कर रहे. आप देखो, जैसे limit 12 लाख हो गया, most of the people's income will go to 12,50,000. Am I right? So वो एक तरफ है. But ये भी बहुत जरूरी है कि how do we educate people to get into the right side, and this is an opportunity for us. Why we need to do that? 64 crore is the difference. 10% is 6.5, which is equal to the returns filed till now, and that's the opportunity for us. And same thing for partnership firms, same thing for not even numbers. पूरा इसमें बाद में आप देख लेना. So potential of educating people, educating clients to be on the right side is the potential. जो बोल के बोल रहे काम नहीं है, कम काम है, I can do. Identify how do we touch this mass of people who are not filing returns. So there is only one opportunity, number of other opportunities. Now we'll look at, this was done by the Jain CA conference, student conference नहीं, it was a members conference. Jain CA group, Jaipur CA group करके है. It's an offshoot of BCA in Jaipur, and they sort of had this survey done. And I think if you feel something else is there, please highlight me and note down. What are the main problems which we are impacted with in our offices? Low level of fees, everyone agrees?
Yes.
Fees realization, we are not able to realize the fees. Do we agree or no?
Yes.
Bombay may be better. Finding new clients? नहीं, इसमें challenge नहीं है Bombay में. Challenge है. Okay.
Challenge है, पर हमारा
Maintaining our old client is more.
Sorry?
Maintaining our old client is more.
Yeah. Oh, I'll come to that also, that point of view. Free advice. अब वो हंस रहे हो क्यों कर रहा है? मैं खुद को भी बात करता हूँ। मेरे को मॉर्निंग वॉक में मेरे हमारे नेबर मिलते हैं जो कोई बिजनेस में है, इंग्लिश में ऐसे ऐसे कर क्या करें? मैं पूछता हूँ क्या पूछ दे चार्ट उससे पूछो, मेरे को आपका पूरा नॉलेज नहीं है आपका। तो अपने तो जनरली अपना स्वभाव इतना अच्छा होता है ना, ठीक है सब पूछा फट 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 जवाब दे दिया, कैपिटल गेन्स में ये करो उसमें वो करो। व्हाई शुड यू डू दैट? आई थिंक यार अपना स्वभाव ही अपने आगे अगेंस्ट में जाता है। डोंट गिव फ्री एडवाइस। दैट्स द बिगेस्ट disservice you are doing to yourself and your value will be zero. If you give free advice, your value will be zero. Please understand that. Staff articles crunch, all of us are facing. Data maintenance security, I mean 16%. I think this is the biggest ignorance, if I can say so. This is the biggest challenge. Data maintenance security. Today, you know, in this war, which is war chal raha hai India Pakistan ka, thanks to the war, the cyber attacks have increased on the defense installations and अपने तो बदल ही नहीं है, मतलब since अपना कोई सिस्टम अपना डेटा पूरा क्लाइंट का अपने पास है, how many of us are good firewalls, this, that? I have connected to large companies as directors. It's a public knowledge I'm sharing. It's listed company. Thomas Cook was attacked on 30th December by cyber attack. Luckily, they had very good this thing, so minor problem, and business was not impacted. Nippon Mutual Fund, somebody mentioned that I'm a director. They were attacked as lately last month by the cyber attack. Their websites were closed. Business continued, website. So we need to be careful because we are managing client data. Now I'm seeing a lot of seniors over here, chartered accountants. How many of us have a succession plan? Only a couple of them. I think, and how many? Forget that. You are having your own practice. How many of you want a value for your practice? Assuming whenever you want to retire, how many of you want a value for your practice? Almost everybody. So without a succession plan, you will not get a value. Succession में 3-4 दिन ने हाथ ऊंचे किए. Again, अपना स्वभाव इतना खराब है. We are lone rangers. Why? You know, I'll give an example. My grandparents' firm was a firm called Damania Pandey and Bajar. Fantastic firm, Parsi firm, auditors of Tata Group, Indian Hotels, so on and so forth. And so Khimji Kuwait had done his articleship there in Damania Pandey Bajar. Some years back, I think about 8-10 साल पहले, 2 senior Parsi partners, they expired, very aged, they expired in a short distance. Whole firm crumbled. That firm is not there. Damania is a beautiful, excellent firm. The firm has gone out of the, reckoning. So please have a succession plan. Please think through, have some second line, third line, enter. Thoda hoga, you'll have to share your profits, reduce your take home. Think about that. So what are the challenges in a practice? We have to balance 3 A's. What are the 3 A's? Service to the clients, satisfaction for the people who are associated with us as chartered accountants, as articles, as staff, and success of the partners, including us who are the partners. So these are 3 A's, the balancing task we need to do. And what are the challenges, the economic challenges which we are facing in a practice? Increasing cost, बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है. Competitive environment, और फिर तैयारी है दूसरा काम करने के लिए. या बता रहे थे, client loyalties are no longer stable as earlier, right, Ravi? Existing client को पकड़ के रखना है, वो बोले भागा दूसरा कोई कम में कर रहा है, will run. Retaining clients who are growing big is a challenge. Client बड़ा हो रहा है, वो बड़ी firm के पास जाएगा. So if you don't grow as your client is growing, आप सोच ही लो कि आपके पास client जाएगा. The client is growing, you need to start growing with it. Increase number of people, services, this, that, etc. Traditional areas of practice like audit, tax appear to be overcrowded. Do we agree? Is it overcrowded? एक ही खाली चार्ट आगे बताया वो टैक्स रिटर्न्स का, तो उससे आपको क्लैरिटी हो जाएगी ओवरक्राउडेड है कि नहीं. इंक्रीजिंग कॉस्ट ऑफ एश्योरेंस फंक्शंस, ऑडिट का कॉस्ट बहुत बढ़ गया है. एंड वी लैक द बिलिंग स्किल्स. आई कम आउट ऑफ द बिलिंग स्किल. वी हैव टू विशुअल सर्कल ऑफ चीज, वो मैं बता रहा हूँ. उसके पहले we ourselves don't project our services properly. अपने समझो ऑडिट करते हैं, और से एग्जांपल यू गिविंग अ सर्टिफिकेट. व्हाट इज द वैल्यू यू आर गिविंग टू द क्लाइंट व्हेन यू आर गिविंग अ सर्टिफिकेट, a small certificate? What is the value which is generated out of the certificate? Any feedback? Sorry? But how do you, see, I'm saying projection, how do you project that? We don't do that, I'm saying. So I think what we need to project is this, what I've signed the certificate is acceptable from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Kandla to Calcutta. After the Prime Minister, after the President of India signature, this is the second most accepted signature in the country. That's the value. At what value are we selling that service? 200, 500, 1000 rupees? Is it worth? And somebody tells, oh, come make the, जाने दो उसको. Each person, depending at the level of your practice, have थोड़ा self, I would say, respect, और कोई ज़्यादा तो छोड़ दो उसको. They start competing होने के साथ, just leave that. That is number one. Number two, coming to audit. Audit में how do you project आते हैं? वो client आके बोलता है तो थप्पा लगाएगा, right? So why don't we project what are we doing in the audit? It's a certificate, तेरे उसमें कोई material misstatement नहीं है और कोई non-compliant tax audit कर रहे हैं तो tax audit का तो वो अपना projection नहीं है अपने खुद इतने introspect इतने diffident है अंदर अपने we need to change that and this is that vicious circle of fees अपना पहले base level of fees बहुत कम है which result in lower remuneration to staff, inadequate staff and infrastructure. Need to increase billing. We increase, a lot of work at low fees, volume. No time for capacity building, technology upgradation. Very busy. अपने सब बहुत busy. अपने वो बाकी जो चीज अपने को improve करनी चाहिए technology side, दूसरी side अपने खुद की practical knowledge. Low quality of services rendered, low fees. So do we agree we are in this?
Yes.
So do we agree we need to break out of this chakra view? So that was on the economic side. On the regulatory side, on the income tax side, things are getting changed. The number of reduction, exemptions are going down. That direct scheme, ये scheme, वो scheme में जो भी है, simplification, faceless assessment, lot of regulatory action we discussed, NFRA, peer review, quality review board, FRRB, SFIO, name it. How many of you are doing work for cooperative societies, clubs, partnership firms? I think partnership तो सब कर रहे होंगे, cooperative society काफी. As a president, and I was in the district committee for a long time, friends, almost 90% of the cases which came were dispute in the society, dispute in the partnership, dispute between husband and wife, dispute in the club. उनका झगड़ा चलता है और सीए को लगाता है सूली पे. 90% I'm telling you. Forget the large cases. ये अपने ILFS, DHFL, सत्यम वो छोड़ दो उसको, वो बहुत कम है. 90% problem is, so अभी लगता है नहीं तो मेरा family concern है ये partnership उनको, आप तो family के जैसे हो, right? That's a normal word they use. उनका झगड़ा होगा तो you will not be part of the family. I'm very clear. The moment they fight, you will be a दुश्मन. दोनों के दुश्मन, एक के दुश्मन, जो भी है. So what I'm trying to communicate is, please don't accommodate any wrong thing, otherwise you will be in trouble. जो भी है documentation ठीक से रखो, कल you need that documentation. I don't want किसी के सामने भी वो केस हो. आपका काम ठीक करो, बाकी वो जाने उनका काम जाने. आप जो काम कर रहे हो, उसमें there should be no gaps. Just because they are my family, like client, 50-year-old client, 60-year-old client, don't, I don't know whether I should be sharing one self-experience. Our firm, was known in the early 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. We were very big in the cotton trade. Bombay was a completely a textile, city. A lot of textile mills. So we had a lot of clients who were the cotton trade, wholesalers, and all those supplying to the textile mills. In mid-70s, there was nationalization, and all the textile mills were nationalized. And many of these people, the funds were stuck with the nationalization. And so we never bothered to recover the fees. One set of clients, I'm just giving an example, a very close, we had grown along with him. One of our initial clients, when they went into trouble in the mid-70s, we stopped collecting fees. Private companies hai, so minimum issued ke हिसाब से 1500 रुपए जो भी those time minimum scale of fees था, we just providing the books, not collecting it. For almost from 70s till I'm telling you around 90s, 15-20 साल, this particular group of clients had a land in Chandivali. They sold the land and then they came to us. Okay, we have sold the land and we have to pay. Good. ये क्या काम कर सकते हैं? 15-20 साल तक हमने फी कलेक्ट नहीं की है. It's a virtually zero value. जो मेरे को समझ एक साल में कलेक्ट है उसकी आप IRR करो, it's a zero value for the fees not collected. उसमें they want a reduction. This is family for us. This is gratitude. मैं सबको तो है मतलब सब जगह अपना there is closeness but not at the closeness of the घोड़ा घास से दोस्ती करे तो खाएगा क्या? One side your relation one side but your profession the other side. In profession do as what profession is required. And I'm giving you a live example. Too many changes in law we discussed. Internal compliance बहुत बढ़ गए. GST as we discussed, so many deadlines. How many of you are doing listed companies? Let's skip this slide. Couple of them. You can see this slide. NFRA is a major problem. The problem with NFRA is that law is being administered predominantly by non-chartered accountants. People coming from different walks of ministries, etc., bureaucrats. Or who see what they expect. See, for example, when a surgeon is doing a surgery, does he do the surgery or documents how he is doing the surgeries? Here the expectation is audit करो नहीं करो, document करो कैसे आपने audit किया. And line by line, believe me, ये बड़े से बड़ी firm का इन्होंने अभी whatever is, forget the problematic cases, the ILFS and all. I'm not on the factual part of that. But if you look at the audit compliance part of it, they expect each and every line. Suppose you have used your judgment, certain paras or certain lines of auditing standard is not applicable to a particular client, and you have not documented that. You use your judgment, you have read it, not applicable, छोड़ दिया आपने. कहाँ पे लिखा है आपने? ये है. तो उनका expectation क्या है? एक लाइन लिखो, applicable, yes, no, not applicable, whatever. So it is more checklist driven or documentary. So that is the expectation. So all listed companies. There are currently, friends, 2,000 firms who are doing audit of something, 7,000 listed companies, roughly. My gut feel is the firms or the partners who are doing that audit and are doing other activities. So GST में busy है, महीने में 2-3 दिन, TDS में busy है, इसमें उसमें busy है, tax returns के लिए busy है. They will not be able to reach the expectation of NFRA. If any of you are doing audit plus this, be careful. I'm telling you as a firm, we are an 89-year-old firm. We were doing audit in a certain manner. And when I returned from the president, when I just, the partners meeting I discussed, what I'm visualizing is, where we are standing, our audit practice can grow, but the risk is huge with NFRA coming down. What will we do? We'll mitigate the risk. Okay, I said, improve your documentation. The feedback from my partners was, Nilesh, we have to audit or documentation. Rightly so. पहला ILFS का order आया NFRA का, सबकी नानी याद आ गई और जो है ना, everybody is now geared up. We started using earlier we were using CCHI forms, somehow that was not working effectively. Then we shifted to inflow, another this thing. अभी भी हम लोग कर रहे हैं. We are still, I don't think we have reached 100% of the expected NFRA, but we are on that journey. We are aware of the problem. We are on that journey. So anybody who is doing listed, अभी वो listed के साथ है. आगे 10-15 साल में that expectation will come down also. So audit documentation is very critical. आप especially आपके mid-size अपने जो firms हैं, अपन audit कर लेते हैं तो अपना documents होता ही नहीं. Again, one more example I will share with you. When I was in the council, one gentleman from CA from Thana came. He was a peer reviewer, आपके जैसे, and he mentioned, Nilesh bhai, I am doing the peer review of this very old gentleman. What? तो उसको मैं audit का, उसको he knows each and everything audit का, but paper में कुछ नहीं है. मैं क्या करूँ? मैं उसको advise करके document करने के लिए, otherwise we will have a challenge. There is no document. तो अपने क्या आपको आयुर्वेदिक डॉक्टर के जैसे अपने पूरी नब्ज मालूम है. और वो जैसे होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर है, everything he notes down. We don't do that. We need to do that. तो जब ऑडिट कर रहे हो, I think all of us are doing audit. Please improve your documentation. आप समझो सिर्फ वो बैलेंस शीट बना ली, पहले वो क्वेरी शीट आ गई अपने बच्चों की, और वो yes, no, not applicable जो हो गया उससे नहीं होगा. Standards of auditing, accounting standards, compliance, SQC compliance is very important. जिसको भी ऑडिट में आगे बढ़ना है, and in my view there is huge scope in that. ऑडिट के अंदर with as I told you, India growing, audit itself has a huge scope. Risk बहुत है, scope भी बहुत है. And as I told you, 2,000 firms of CAs doing 7,000 listed companies. I think many of these firms will move out of this space, who feel other practice levels are better, GST or income tax. They'll move out because जिसको करना है, start building up this. This is a huge opportunity with risk mitigation you have to do. So I will not go through this particular slide. Technology, constant updates in technical front. Of course, when I say technical, this is not technical, but technical. Whatever you are doing, we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. new technologies coming rapidly, bots, robotic process automation, machine learning, AI, blockchain. We'll discuss a little bit more of that later. Increasing use of technology is making clients more independent, self-reliant. Is this what you're facing? Are you seeing this? Clients becoming more self-reliant because of technology? Then impact of the missing audit trail and currently complex. I think this is very important to discuss. I think all of us face the human challenge, human capital retaining resources. Loyalty कम हो गई है, staff attrition ज़्यादा है, is a fact across. Staff loyalty is minimal. One of the reason I think is how much training you are giving your staff. I'll give my example. When I started my articleship, I was just asked, जाके audit कर ले. क्या audit में करना है मुझे कुछ पता नहीं था. We just दरिया में डाल दिया, swimming करो आप. And my colleagues Puneet and Moulin, possibly same thing we did. But अब बहुत change हो गया. You need to train your people. We need to, though you put them in the darya to swim, but swimming through sikha ke baad unko डाल. Expectation of salary is very high. Dilemma is retaining expenses. एक cost बढ़ते जा रहा है. Every year people expect at least minimum inflation increase or more. But for retain you have to pay more to the people. Are you increasing your client fees proportionately? वो हो रहा है कि नहीं? क्यों नहीं हो रहा? Minimum, I'm saying, I'm just coming to billing now. Why not increase each client to minimum by the inflation? Say roughly 10%, 8 to 10%. Can we increase or no? 5%. Sorry? 5% भी नहीं agree कर रहे. I agree with you.
When saloon wala can increase 10%, why we cannot? And saloon wala is
10%? I think retail में तो I'm amazed the way they are increasing. You go to any restaurant, now how much has the food cost increased? Go to any first grade, earlier I think average was 500 rupees per head in a good restaurant. Now nothing less than 1,000, 750, 1,050 without any alcoholic drinks. And without non-veg. I'm talking about vegetarian. Am I right?
Yes.
So why can't go apna hi, but I'll come to that. I'll come to how do we, minimum 5-10% increase होना चाहिए year on year. See, that is easy. And again, I'll share my experience. We are an old firm. हम लोग सालों साल फी रिवाइज नहीं करते. फिर एक साल में समझो, after 5 years ऐसे कि वो 50%, अरे 50% फी कैसे बढ़ेगी? Same thing, 5% every year, 10% बढ़ाओ तो हाँ, yes, you are right.
So the challenge is the same work is being performed by many other CAs in practice at a much lesser rate. And since there is no client loyalty, so they would tell you that this switch to the other person. So how to cope with that?
I'll come to that. What I call the ABC analysis, and I'll just come to that. So we'll address that problem. This time about human capital. So एक बार जो cost बढ़ते रहा 10-15%, whatever, other costs are going up, and this time fees we are not able to increase. Lack of, especially everybody screaming, the new generation of staff which is coming is different, right? Especially after COVID, do we feel a huge difference? नहीं वो तो ठीक है तो पहले से लेते थे, but COVID के बाद में I've seen a sea change in the mindset of the new incumbents. Are you facing कि work-life balance, क्या करना है, easy going, this, that, whatever, कि भाई जिंदगी किसके लिए जीनी है? That's the attitude. Yeah, you are saying something, sir?
They are limiting hours.
Absolutely. But this is a mindset you have to work in. How do we make things more motivational or attractive to them? See, I fully appreciate what you're saying. Again, we'll come to this. For example, in our firm also we have similar challenges. So what we have done in the last many years is started sparkle of the month or star of the year. So different partners nominate different people, and what are the good traits? We are a large office, so we and we then highlight that. We say, ये traits है उसके लिए इसको sparkle of the month मिल रहा है, इसको star of the year मिल रहा है. So that how do you create? See, अपना क्या normally critical environment है. ये गलत है, audit है तो ये गलत है, income tax में भी तुमने ये गलती कर दी. That's the way we work. We have fault finders.
Yes.
Even amongst our staff. It's the nature of our job. I am not blaming. We have to do that. But how do we change that? How do we make it more constructive? That they are learning, something new with this approach of ours. So this change of our attitude, how do we motivate them to do better? And that means good HR practices. I'm saying this is one of the HR practice. How do you recognize good things in your office? How many of you recognize any good things? Assuming, say, kuch na kuch acha ho raha hoga, you recognize. In this whole large audience, I'm seeing 3-4 hands going up. Believe me, friends, I'll tell you, start recognizing good things in office, things will change. And I'm finding, again, experience. We are not doing it 10-15 years back. We started doing it, and I'm finding a sea change. That motivation. काफी लोग नहीं होंगे, but उनको भी फिर aspiration हो जाता है कि हम भी ऐसे करें. And I can share an example. एक बंदा हमारे यहाँ पे who got a spark, my partners were telling me कि जब भी वो join किया articles and within few months को तो लगा ये तो 3 साल ऐसे time pass करते जाएगा. अभी तो 2 साल है, but 3 years articles, he'll just, I don't know what transformed in him. He must have seen some of these people doing well, and he also became the sparkle of the year. So positive recognition also is very important. Take apna from fault finding. That I think you need to one of the things. दूसरा चैलेंज क्या कि स्टाफ जो क्लाइंट के पास भी स्टाफ की क्वालिटी खराब है. अर्लियर जो थी उससे the staff quality client also is deteriorating. So they're going to use up the good staff is going across. Generally, what is the practice size over here? I'm saying people here, how many are having say a team size of 20-30 people? How many more than that? How many having a team size of 50 people? A couple of hands. And more than that, 100?
Very few.
Sorry?
Very few.
Very few. Yeah. I'll come to that. Again, we were also, so maybe 50, 100 many years back, we grew in size. Earlier, all the HR activity we were doing. Right from the leave application, articles form, ठीक है, बंदे थे, client वगैरह. But everything used to come to the partner. As we started growing, we first started with one HR consultant, then one HR person. Now today we are a team of 3-4 HR people. And employee engagement also is a big thing. Since last 10 years, we are doing intra-firm cricket tournament within our firm. So पहले तो बहुत कम teams थी. Last year when we did, we had 17 teams, of which 4 teams were girls. But that also is influencing. How do you get people together as you start growing? So everybody starts small. We were also 20-30 people, 40-50, we kept on growing. But as you grow, you need to, you need to collaborate, come together, then you can have some fixed costs of the HR people, IT people, etc. So you need to, we'll come to that. Personal, what I've observed is most of our, across this room or across everywhere, our nature is very docile, right? By and large, majority. Some people are aggressive, but very minority is aggressive on start. Majority is docile by nature. So that's again a challenge with us as a greed to increase volume of work at any cost, isn't it? So a client आ रहा है तो कैसे भी ऑफिस अच्छी हो नहीं हो ले लेना. Is that the general tendency? You don't do that. Is that the general tendency?
Initially, it was like that, but once we grow
How many have said no to clients? I mean, new client. How many have said no? So it's a very good number. Good, I think I like it. Earlier, this hands raising was very few. Now I think thanks to the sheer, pressure of the practice, many of people are saying no to clients. So that's a good sign I'm seeing here. I think I will skip. Now, how many of you see, I would say time, peak and non-peak period. Suppose अभी कोई आपका tax audit का season चल रहा है and say just 10 days before the deadline you get a new client to do a tax audit. Will you charge him the same fees you're charging to other similar clients or will you charge a premium? Wow, that's again a, otherwise by and large I've seen people will charge the same thing. Last minute भी आता है, client आ रहा है ले लो, वही fees पे. Surcharge.
Premium.
Yeah, good. So I'm happy, but a lot of seniors will not agree with that. They say our charge out rates will be the same. I don't agree. I feel somebody's going to last moment, you charge a premium to that. How many of us, there's a free advice की बात की. A lot of people give you a call and seek advice to you on phone.
Yes.
Do you note it down?
No.
What is the billing? It is just income tax fees for the year end and so on, so GST fees is one line billing.
No.
So you are saying your detailed billing.
Detailed billing.
good. I think I want everyone to follow our friend here. It should be detailed billing. See, what does this income tax for a year involve? Maybe 4 times or 3 times the estimates, filing of returns, advice on phone. I have seen my own family doctor, he's a general practitioner. Even if I phone him up, when I try to settle his bill once in a few months, each and everything is noted. See, that is the first step to see. अपन खुद ही नहीं बता रहे हम कितना काम हो रहा है client को फिर कैसे देगा? Just to give an example, being income tax fees for the year is 50,000. Just give an example. आप उसको बोलेंगे 10,000 20,000 भी बढ़ाओ, क्यों बढ़ाऊँ मैं? Because he doesn't understand what it entails, and we don't try to explain what it entails. So, like our friend is doing here, it has to have the detail. जितना detail होगा, and I can share one advocate's bill. Once I saw advocate 3-page bill. Court hearing on so and so date, adjourn. Court hearing on so and so adjourn. और कुछ नहीं है, but bill 3 page का. So meticulous, थोड़ा effort लगता है, but there's no harm in doing that. So please, even telephonic consultations have to be charged. So how do we, what do we do to improve our this thing? The first and foremost is self-evaluation. See, everybody cannot be a Dhoni or a Tendulkar or a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma. So each person is different. We need to evaluate ourselves. What is the type of client we have? What is the positioning you want? How do you want to position yourself? Very important. Then within your office, right sizing. Is your team good enough, for the work which you are doing, the type of work, or the quality of the manpower? You have the type. Assuming I want to be an expert in GST. There's a target. Say maybe 5 years down the line, 7 years ago. You need to start working in that direction. You want to be an expert in international tax, or a domestic tax, or maybe just to do criminal practice. So you have to work backwards and then go in that direction. And ultimately fees and billing. So this is for the youngsters. Very few youngsters I see here, not for the elderly. Do I have so suppose somebody become a CA, और मैं अभी से practice चालू करता हूँ. But do I have the requisite practical experience? Suppose मैंने सिर्फ audit का काम किया, but in practice I have to do tax, I have to do GST. Do I have the that knowledge? Am I technically sound? Do I want employee control? Because उसमें 9 से 5 job करना है. Then practice is not the right thing for you. What is my nature? I said very important your nature. What are my interests? Do I have clarity where I want to be and have work-life balance? Well, if you want to be expert in something, then you don't toil the hard way. But if you want to be work-life balance, which he is, then each person according to his decision. Somebody is ambitious, somebody is not ambitious. So for youngsters, this again, if you want to get into practice, you can specialize in an area and grow to establish a specialized firm, or you can work in a firm and set up your practice after some time, join an existing firm and grow into the partnership role in the same firm, and be a retainer, have your own practice and retainer. So there are different options available. And see, again, there is nothing right or wrong. Each person, based on his self-evaluation, can do any of these paths, what he wants to do. So kya karna hai? So it can be a polyclinic or specialist coming together. It can be a boutique, in the sense, say a boutique of GST, a boutique of a boutique of finance, boutique of audit, or it could be a retail store doing everything. Income tax, TDS, what generally by and large a retail store. You do everything. What can be an advisory niche practice? So this is each according to what he wants to do. किसके लिए क्या होता है पॉलिक्लिनिक अच्छा होगा, किसके लिए रिटेल अच्छा होगा, किसके लिए बुटीक अच्छा होगा, किसके लिए एडवाइजर अच्छा होगा. So there is no right or wrong in this. You have to decide what path you want to go. Large accounting firms are not go. So what are the practice management for SMBs like us? So what is the steering wheel for practice management for us? So one is of course the critical is leveraging technology. Client relationship management is very important. Risk management for audits and all. Succession planning we discussed. Developing people strategy. How will you hire people, good people, retain people? Building and growing the firm. How do you grow the firm? Then practice model, association, networking, etc. and planning. So this is the service spectrum, friends. Efficiency-based practice is what by and large most of us, which is high execution practice, experience-based practice, and expertise-based. These are the three, bulwarks. So the margins of practice will go as you go towards the right side. The rate per hour will go if you trend towards the right side. The man-hour utilization will reduce, in the sense, and leverage. I think generally always the question is how do I increase my clientele, right? Client कैसे बढ़ाने का? So first and foremost is you need to speak in public forums. आज सब जो कोई GST है, कोई tax है, international tax, audit, NFRA, whatever it may be, standards of auditing, accounting standards, whatever finance, whatever area you are good at, start speaking. Start with the study circle, start with the branch, go to other branches. That itself will create, the word of mouth will improve. How many of you are on the social media, LinkedIn especially? So what do you post in that? Sorry?
Changes, updates, tax updates, changes,
You are posting that? Good, on a regular basis.
as and when it comes. So,
Whenever it comes, that's a regular basis. But that is not direct tax.
yeah.
So you are focusing on direct tax. Good. So again, very, very important. See, you are not supposed to advertise, you are not supposed to market. So this is one area, LinkedIn. Suppose you are specializing, just to give an example, international tax. कोई changes है, कोई नया case law आया. For example, say somebody is IBC and the Supreme Court order of JSW Bhushan recent. Give your expert comments thereon and put it on social media, LinkedIn. Of course, you have to be careful. You should not do, to the best of what is the institute regulation is, firm should not do that. Individual you can do it as an individual. So do it as an individual, as a partner or whatever. You post that. So start putting on social media, that will create visibility. People observe. And so somebody is approaching you also for, say, a client. He will see your social media, everything is available publicly. कि क्या क्या आपने social media, so that gives an impression कि ये आदमी क्या क्या है. So whichever area you want to focus on, please start putting snippets and not bulky things. If you want, I can, you can look at our KKC and all this thing. Our partners are doing a fantastic job. Any new thing coming, just simple, one pager. And it has to be easy to read, not heavy on reading, pleasing to the eyes, because nobody has time nowadays. And currently, I think as we speak, possibly we reach more than 25,000 followers, incrementally. So हम लोग को भी टाइम लगा. We were pushing और सब लोग मतलब it's always a challenge. मैं ये करूँ या वो करूँ, मैं काम करूँ या मैं LinkedIn पे डालूँ. But if you want to grow, you need to do that. Luckily, now the team is well organized. The things are in place, and on a regular basis this is going on. So social media is very important. Study circles we discussed. How many of you are part of a network? Official or unofficial? In sense, when I say informal also, not unofficial, informal. Do you network within yourself? Very few. Balance why don't you network? In the sense, I suppose you don't have the skill, competency, time for a certain mandate. Do you sort of reach out to your friends and all? So that is informal networking. I suppose, assuming I am more focused on GST, मेरे को tax का नहीं करना है. So that is informal networking. So start with informal, then gradually you can go to a formal network and ultimately merger. See, in my view, if you want to grow, you have to grow the size of the firm. Of course, the role is for everyone. There is a room for sole proprietors, there is room for small firms, there is room for mid-size. So US में भी सब कुछ है. But you are a small firm, one sole proprietor, 10 people, you cannot expect a Reliance audit. Mentally, if you're ready, मैं वो नहीं कर सकता. If you're aspiring a Reliance, I'm just giving an example of Reliance, it could be anybody else, Tata's, Reliance, whatever. You have to start building scale. It may take time. Or any other work. If you want to say expert in GST, I want to become, or say in income tax, I want to become Soli Dastur. Or a Nani Palke wala. You have to start building. You cannot, by doing the same thing, you cannot become a Nani Palke. You have to start evolving in that. Whichever direction, as I told you, directions are different, but you need to change. You cannot, remain as it is. So networking, of course, is very good. Don't try to do everything. In my view, the companies are so many now. One person doing everything, in my view, is a Superman. As far as direct tax, indirect tax, audit, and being master of all is next to impossible. You'll make blunders, timelines, and at your own cost of your health. So the best is to come together and network. Empanelments and some business development initiatives one needs to do. I'll give an example of business development initiatives. Now, यहाँ पे भी tug of war है. Again, I'm seeing a mental attitude of people. Within my own firm, I'm seeing. We just landed a tax audit of a large, not large, very old but mid-sized, very good group listed company, a textile company, tax audit. So we are still not started, पहला साल होगा अभी, and we got an invite to attend the farewell of the CFO. Now, we didn't know the CFO, only one or two people are known, etc. So, we 4-5 partners are invited, only 2 partners went. Unfortunately, I got a bad habit, so I tried to reach as much as possible. Went there, met the promoters, met the others, and said I'll meet them in June. So that's a business development. See, and again, so make an investment. You invest now, so you're in the eyes of the promoters. Maybe somewhere down the line, whenever an opportunity arises, you can grab that. You cannot accept that. मैं वो time spend करूँ मेरे को immediately. It's like sowing the seed. आप कोई seed डालते हो, you have to nurture the seed, you have to water it, let the plant grow, and the fruits will come start later. उसके time देना पड़ेगा. So business development doesn't mean आप खाली marketing call करो कोई वो कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. In the social influence also try to reach out as much as possible in your client space, etc. While initially a firm would like to grab as many clients as possible, as firm grows, it becomes important to identify those clients which have the potential to add value to the firm. As many of you said, you take all the work which comes across. You need to know your client, understand the client needs and exceed the expectation. बहुत important. What is the value for your client? Is it just your compliance oriented? को audit करके दे दो, tax return file करके दे दो. Is it cost optimized? You are helping them in cost optimization, or is it very high specialized advisory? So decide the role. Build a client profile. Who is your ideal client? You already said that you have said no to many clients. That's good. We are not allowed to, advertise. You can tap the startups. Most important, I think now I'm coming to the most important point. This client acquisition is and client retention. Classify clients in 3 categories. I think most of you are senior many years in practice. Classify clients, quality lover and fair. Fair in as far as fees payment is concerned. Moderate and practical. And third is a miser. Do we agree all our clients can bucket in these 3 categories? Do we agree? कोई एकदम कंजूसी किचकिच करते रहता है और फीस हैगल करते रहता है और bucket them under 3. The third type of client can be described by the definition of a cynic given the Oscar Wilde. What is a cynic? A man who knows the price of everything, the value of nothing. जो last category of client है, once you reach a reasonable size of practice or of age, please start cutting down on the third type of client. You had a question, how do we? This is the answer now. How do we? All of us have got a size of clients. Focus. C category को निकाली दो. Across everyone, if you start doing that, and we can afford that. And you're saying what I'm talking have. We have welcomed Durgesh Bhai, our Honorable Central Council member. It's thanks to him that I'm here. So the third category of the client, and you say, ये तो खाली बड़े-बड़े बातें करते रहते हैं. We are friends. We have done this not now in 1989-90. That time we were the laughing stock of the profession. ये लोग पागल हैं. हम तो फाइल एक फाइल हम बनाते हैं, बढ़ाते हैं, right? That's a normal. We are not done now. I'm talking of 45 years, 35 years before now. And there are Uday is there, Puneet, some of them may know that. तभी हम लोग तो we were laughing stock, but it helped us. We focus on certain areas. Those areas grew by God's grace. Have the everyone should remove the seed. जो किचकिचिया client ना कचकच करे. सबके पास होगा. Categorize करो, कुछ फर्क नहीं गिर रहा है. It is, it is called the Pareto principle. 80% of the event activities in life contribute to 20% of the results. 20% of the events activities contribute to 80% of the results. So, वो fees level will become 80-20 principle. 20% client will be giving 80% fees. 80% client giving 20%. 7-3 भी हो सकता है. वो मैप करो एक टाइम. ये अपन ने डिस्कस किया. कि काफी एक चीज बोलना, काफी टाइम वो प्रोफाइल वैल्यू, ये क्लाइंट आएगा मेरी प्रोफाइल वैल्यू बढ़ेगी. वो एक आध क्लाइंट हो सकता है प्रोफाइल वैल्यू का, सब क्लाइंट प्रोफाइल वैल्यू ऐड नहीं करते. तो अपने खराब आदत है, ये क्लाइंट मेरा ये प्रोफाइल करेगा, वो प्रोफाइल करेगा. One odd is enough, but not more. How many of you note the time involved in each client or whatever work you are doing? Very few.
Absolutely in detail.
Sorry?
Absolutely in detail.
I'll need to learn from you, sir.
Sir, I learned it myself.
Wonderful. So we accountants, we need to see अपन accountants है, अपने time कहाँ जा रहा है कि client उसका account तो रखना चाहिए ना. Audit है, tax है, GST है. वो करो. Time sheets are a must. You should know how much time is going each time. As I told you, start noting down the oral advice he's taking on phone, this, that, whatever. Whichever is a non-audit client, consulting, how many of you are into advisory practice? Do you take advance fees for that? जो भी एडवाइजरी फी कर क्लाइंट मेरे को ये देख के दो, सबसे पहले आप उसको 25% एडवांस जो भी फी नक्की करते हो. सी इफ देयर इज नो फीस इन्वॉल्वड, नो पिंच, उसके लिए भी इट इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट. द मोमेंट ही पेज 25% इट इज ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस फॉर हिम आल्सो. यू डोंट टेक 25% एडवांस, डू दैट. नॉट फॉर ऑडिट. ऑडिट के लिए नहीं कर सकते हो, ऑडिट के अलावा बाकी सब के लिए ट्राई करो. नॉर्मल एडवाइजरी ऑफ कोर्स हमें चैलेंज है कि इनकम टैक्स फी बिल रेस को भी साल भर के बाद में देता है. दैट्स हैपनिंग. Do you happen to have bill raise करता हूँ?
Sir, income tax I get my bill within 7 days, and I'm doing it over the last 5 years.
I want everybody to be like him.
And I only deal with such clients. I don't do other clients. I leave them.
Friends, again, just to reiterate what my friend said, we moved to the accrual basis of accounting in 2017-18, and in that year, our receivables were just 2.5% of the total billing of that year. Currently, post-COVID, it may be 5-7%. But it's below 10% even now. And we are not as good as you, sir. Our fees are recorded in about 45 to 60 days max. Oh, process is a big client, so they take their own time, it goes to normal levels and all those things, whatever.
Do you have any idea what is the big four amount of outstanding in debtors and bad debts? Any idea? Rough idea.
No clue. I don't know what to give you. Our cases, it was...
I was offered an assignment by a couple of big four firms to help them recover their outstandings.
Wow.
I refused it only because they were not willing to give me advance. And I told them, you have written it off.
Absolutely.
So I recover it for you.
True.
It will be coming whatever comes, fixed retainer plus 20% of what I get.
Wow.
On cash basis.
Wow.
You agree? We signed the engagement letter. Otherwise, goodbye. छोड़ दिया sir.
Sorry?
What about your percentage?
Sir, we don't have, virtually we don't have any bad debts. We don't have bad debts at all. Delay, yes. We had a real estate client which sort of, you used to take one, that was only one set of clients just, and we used to give them the liberty. Other than that, most of the fees are and no bad debts. But negligible कुछ होगा तो अलग बात है कि कहीं कुछ वो very insignificant, less than 1% if I can say so. मतलब, I'm not saying zero, but it's not more than 1% which you have to write off. So this is very important. I'll take a little bit more time so today is agreed. So other thing on the billing, अपन billing करते हैं, do you sort of follow? Our friend was definitely was following. That's why he must be getting. How many of us follow up for the collection of the bills? All of us. See, again, as a firm, I tell you, we were not collecting fees. 89 years old. Earlier practice was, वो 5 साल तक 10 साल तक फी नहीं आता था, कोई रिमाइंड नहीं करता था. From the time TDS came and after that the service tax and now the GSTs are nothing doing. For last 10, 15, 20 years maybe, we have a separate person following up, reminders, after a week or 10 doesn't come, goes to the partner, he follows up. So whole system mechanism is established. That's why I'm saying 2.5% or maximum 5% receivable. So one has to follow. जो नहीं है, आप मत करो directly, put a person on the job. See, upon service and there's no reason why the client has to pay after him. Absolutely no reason. Oh, bunkum, we have spoiled the client, including me, we have spoiled our clients. But it is not the business of like our friend here, 7 days, they have to pay. There's no choice.
Sir, each of my bill that goes on an email, it has an institute minimum recommended scale of fees. It has a Excel sheet which indexes it from 2020 to 2025 rate, and then I send my bill. And that it goes.
Index is from what basis, you said?
Sir, institute has not revised its minimum scale of fees. Last revision was at 10 to 2020.
बेटा, who's there on the अपना क्या नाम है? Recording जो कर रहे हो, बेटा, 2 मिनट के लिए बंद कर दे.
Fact finding.
So 10 to 2020 was the last time institute revised.